we have none other than the legendary Herman Moore. This is the first time we get talked. No, we talked to him after the playoff win? I don't think so.
No.
What up, Herb?
Hey, what's good?
What's up, man? I appreciate you being patient with us. Apologize about the technical difficulties, but how you been, man? The Lions won again.
The
They won a
Lions won a
playoff
playoff game. First time in my life,
My
Herman.
voice is just now coming back.
You know what? I don't know what to say, man. This is a magical season, and if you look at what's happening with this team and what's happening with the organization, fan base, it's just football's become it, right? It's become the gym. It's become no longer the laughing stock. It's risen from the dead. That seemed like it had disappeared for a little bit, but we always knew that if this team starts to win, if the organization starts to put together a championship caliber team, how the fan base in not just the city of Detroit, but the state of Michigan, your Lion Nation fans all around the country, all around the world. I mean, they're tuning in, man. We're getting people calling in to some of the things that we're doing. They're calling as far as UK. They're calling from out of the country and wanting to give and chime in on what's going on with the Lions. So this is a great time, man, to be a Lions fan.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And that was the first playoff game hosted in Ford Field ever. And now we have back-to-back home playoff games for the first time since I couldn't even tell you when. How much do you think that means for the city to be able to go out there and do it again against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
I mean, it means everything, because it's not only is it going against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, this is a team that the Lions not only have already beat and beat handedly, 20-6 the first time they played, but they have a chance now to play them at home, which only occurred back in the day when we were in the NFC Central, when we used to play those two games before they left and went into the NFC South. So with that being said, the Lions have an opportunity to do something that is now, if they win this game, they go to the NFC Division Championship game, which is where the last time we were there in 1991 when we faced Washington on the road, and they eventually became the Super Bowl champions. The Lions may have an opportunity, depending on what happens the game before, they may be hosting, if they win on Sunday, the division championship game at home, 3 straight home games, and they weren't the number 1 seed in a path to the Super Bowl. How can you write that up? How can you get there other than just you let it play out, and that's why you play the games?
Again, I said this earlier this week. I feel dirty that I'm going to be rooting for the Packers again. I got to root for the Packers again. Like, I don't want to do that, but hosting the NFC Championship game will be different.
Yeah, you know what? You're going to have to root dirty. You're going to have to get down and dirty. You're going to have to get nasty and funky, whatever you got to do, man. All right, it's got to happen, because I'm going to tell you what, I said this before, man. I said, listen, they say, well, how are they going to control the city if the Lions not only host the championship in NFC Championship game, but what if they win it? I said, well, if that's the case, one, we want the DPS to be in the building. They've been putting in work. They've been keeping the people safe. They've been doing what they need to do down in the city. So you got to let them in the game. We got to bring in the military. We got to bring in our taxpayer dollars to do something else. Let these people come in and enjoy it. Let the city, let the state, let everyone enjoy what's happening, man. And a lot of people will look at it and say, well, there's other teams, right? We know the other teams have had their championships. They may not have been of late. They may not have been recently. But when you look at of the franchises, of the teams that we've had, the one that we've been waiting and people have been really looking to say, when are they going to take that next step? When are they going to become a team that, the fans not only can get behind, but they can cheer and actually be hopeful that this team goes all the way to the Super Bowl, not just the playoffs, but making it to the Super Bowl. And that's what we have. That is actually a reality.
It's crazy.
It is wild.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're talking about. And listen, we're not being fictitious. We're not sitting here making this up. We're not sitting here going, well, if this and if that and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, a couple, but we only need 1-2 things to happen.
Yeah.
That's it.
And Jordan Love, the way he's been playing too, man, I feel like it's possible. I really do.
I think people forget how good the 49ers are, though, because we haven't seen them play in a week. Like, I love the story of the Packers beating them so we could get them, but the 49ers are a different beast.
Hey, we watched them lose to the
Vikings. Why you got to come in and bring that?
I'm sorry.
You got to ruin the party, man. Why you got to come in ruining the party? We're trying. Come on.
That's for the chat for Spencer.
Come on, the 49ers, we know. Okay, they're in mainly they got I think 3 of their categories are in the top 5, and they're in major rankings, and then they're a top 10 every category type team. They got the defense, they got the offense, they're scoring, they got the defense, they got the run defense, they got the stop. Okay, beautiful. Let's just hope they're not that if our Lions have to play them.
It's fair.
That's all I'm saying, Spence. Come on, man. Just
Any given Sunday. I love it.
any given Sunday. Come
Being
on.
a shitty fan.
I'm all right.
Man, you hurt my heart.
I'm sorry.
How you gonna sit here and hurt me like this, man? I come on here and I'm trying to show our brotherly love. We're trying to show some love to the fans of the nation, man. Get about San Fran right now.
I'm sorry. No, it's about the Lions. It's about the Lions.
Let me have my fun.
And it's about Tampa Bay because we are playing Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And the Lions had a great receiver duo they went against versus the Rams with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. They got another great receiver duo coming in with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. How do those guys differ? Like, how different is it for the Lions to try to take on Mike Evans and Chris Godwin compared to Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua?
But then when you look at Godwin and you look at Evans, what you have are 2 guys that have played together for a while. And regardless of the interchange of quarterback that has occurred down in Tampa Bay, these have been consistent players. So they show you that it's not about the quarterback. It's just a matter, if that quarterback can deliver passes their way, they're going to make plays. You got both receivers over 1,000 yards. You have these guys, obviously Mike Evans been a beast with 13 touchdowns, but when you factor this all together, I mean, these are 2 guys that can tear up a defense, and they can definitely hurt a secondary that can't play man-to-man or match up. And if the quarterback has opportunity, you get Mayfield, and he's able to run or he's able to escape and create extra time. And I want you guys to pay attention to this, because one thing that I look at when I'm looking at film and I'm watching this, the more a quarterback has the ability to extend the pocket or extend time for the receivers to run, it's creating all kind of issues in the secondary, whether it's a guy getting free for a deep pass or whether it's creating a pass interference or some type of a big play opportunity for the offense. And that's not just for the Lions. I don't want to make it seem like they're the anomaly, but that's going to happen. And we've seen quarterbacks that won't sit in the pocket, and they have that tendency to get outside of it or take off. It creates problems. So while I'm not necessarily scared or worried about him as a passer, it is about his ability to make the secondary option work or make the secondary part of that play work because he extends it.
Hey, I was nervous to begin the week, but as the week came on, I'm feeling pretty good about our Lions, man. I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah,
Especially
I am as well.
Healthy. Yeah, man. I gotta ask you though, the Rams fans, and I don't know if this is like us being acquainted with like finally like winning games and being in the playoffs, but Kirby Jones being called a dirty player for the hit that ended up injuring Tyler Higbee's ACL. As a former player yourself, and you know how they're changing the rules in the game, what was your take on that? Is clean hit or what?
It's one of those hits, man, where I will have to admit, when a person goes low on you, we talk about protecting the defensive back on a crack back block. To me, that's just the same thing, because that's something you can't protect against. You can't protect against a defensive back decides to go low, whatever receiver decides to go. And, at one point we could kind of do that lunge block where we take out the legs for the defensive backs. Well, they stopped that because we were injuring defensive backs. Defensive backs were getting messed up. And that is a dangerous play. To me, that's just as dangerous as when you go up and you're trying to hit a guy, up in their head or the helmet-to-helmet type collision. So I think that definitely is something that they have to look at. I don't think that's intentional by all the defensive backs, but it is something I think when you see a bigger player coming and you're a smaller player, the tendency is to take their legs out and to go low. And that's definitely not something that, we look at our defensive player and go, well, I don't see anything wrong. I think that shouldn't be a problem. Well, flip the script and let that happen to one of your players. You're going to understand the significance and the magnitude of why that's something that really needs to be reviewed and looked at through the NFL's committee.
Do you think they change the rule where like they just let them hit high again, or just I don't even know the solution, man. Really.
Well, I don't think you have to let them hit high. You just got to make the tackle. Keep it. Making it to where they really go back and look at some of the rules that are there that they put into play. They've had an opportunity. They've had years on some of these rules to really evaluate. They have a lot of footage. They have a lot of analytics to determine whether or not they've actually made it safer. It's gotten worse. And I think in certain instances, when you look at players who are trying to avoid certain collisions because they're trying to play by a rule and it's not natural in terms of the way they try and tackle, a lot of defensive players were getting hurt. Then you see the offensive players who go out and they're doing certain things and they're trying to protect themselves, or a running back that, they have to run the ball a certain way. I think also they can get called with lowering their head or doing some things. So the rules have changed to where it's beyond just, caring for yourself and playing the sport. There's so many things you have to be conscious of, and these aren't small penalties. Right? Let's remind everyone, these are 10 and 15 yard plus penalties that can change the outcome of a football game because a guy did something innocent and not really doing it with negative intention. So rules will always have to be evaluated. Player safety is always top of mind, but also the integrity of the game itself has inherent risk, and we know that as players, and we know that there's an opportunity for us to engage in that in a smart way as well.
Definitely. I just don't. The NFL, they haven't fined him for it. It's how they asked him to hit. So I think they got to step in and do something like you said. If they want to see this stop, they're going to have to make a rule change to try to avoid it going forward. But you spoke earlier about Baker Mayfield, getting out there, kind of buying time for these guys, for Mike Evans and Chris Godwin to get downfield and make some plays. He might not have as much time as he would have in the past because the problem, James Houston has officially been activated to the active roster, and he's going to be ready to go versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How important is that for this Lions defense to bring in another guy that we know is a pass rush specialist?
Oh, yeah. When you can bring in multiple guys, you no longer are depending on when teams look to overplay one side or they bring out a running back to an Aiden Hutchinson side and they have to chip. Well, now when you have two rushers and you have people that are pushing on the middle a little bit, and we've seen some pressure by this team up front, and with Mayfield, he's not the tallest of quarterbacks, so that makes it difficult if he can't slide right or left, or if he can't set deep enough in the pocket and you're forcing him to step up. There's someone in his face most of the time where he's having to look and throw higher passes to get it downfield. So I think this is a tremendous piece for the Lions. I think this is going to be you're going against a number 20, I think the 23rd ranked offense. This is just not a team that has a lot of room for error, being the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, to where they're going to have to make everything count. And the Lions are playing at home. There's so many things in their favor. This is a game that I'd be really surprised if the Lions don't win. And I don't think it necessarily is going to be just a go through this team and they just steamroll them. But I just don't think they should struggle with this team. And after what we saw, what they did down in Clearwater, down in Tampa.
And then I want to ask you this, because nationally during the regular season, we kind of talk about this with G-Met Cash. I feel like the Detroit Lions were getting love. And the postseason came, and I just feel like there's a whole bunch of disrespect. I mean, CBS put out power rankings of playoff teams. The Detroit Lions were second from last. That means that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Green Bay Packers were both ranked over them. And then our guy, Dan Orlowski, who's usually riding for us, he made a list this morning of the top 5 scariest quarterbacks left in the playoffs right now. Jared Goff wasn't on there. They had Jordan Love. They had Baker. I guess what do you make of some of the? I guess we'll start with Dan Orlowski's list. How do you feel about that? Is it fair or what are we doing?
Well, it depends on how he defines scariest quarterbacks. Right, I have a lot of respect for Dan. You look at what he's done post career and the way he's been able to really go into being an analyst. You start looking at that too often sometimes, and it's not that he hasn't looked at the film, but you got to look at what those players mean to the team. I think there's a Baker Mayfield. I don't have a problem with you saying that. Okay, his team is here, right? They're in the playoffs. They're playing the Lions. They're in the same position that the Lions are in terms of where they are in their playoff run. But I think that you can plug and play him a little bit differently than you would a Jared Goff. And I think what Jared Goff means to the Lions is a little bit different. And I think how he elevates this team. And if you were to swap the two, I don't think you get the same production. I think one will still excel and do better than the other. And he could not like that. I mean, that's not a knock on Baker Mayfield because he's not the one who puts out the ranking. But I think Jared Goff, people just really haven't given him his due for this year. Regardless of last year, every year is anew, and you can't keep players locked in where they are. We're awarding them, and we're we're talking about them based on their play. Look at what was going on in Cleveland. You know, we didn't think with old Joe that he was going to be able to go out there and set those guys on fire, but he did. But then, you know, when it came time to put it down, he kind of shut down on them. But on this one, Jared Goff's been solid all year. Yeah, he has struggles under pressure. But I think when you look at what he's done and how he's managed to get this team to corral around him, I don't think that same trust and belief is there in Tampa. I could be wrong. I'm not there, but that's just my opinion.
And in that first game, in that first playoff game, you know, the Lions were going crazy. The fans were going crazy. They set a record for indoor stadium decibel level.
Yeah.
Jared Goff said it was the best home environment he's ever played in.
And he used to play in Seattle.
And he used to play in Seattle. And when we talked about this with you, you talked about that Silverdome environment and how you wanted that same energy, that same Silverdome energy. Did they answer that prayer? Did they live up to the expectations?
I think the younger Detroit Lion fan base gave it their Detroit Lion best. But there will never be another Silverdome unless you're going to put 90,000 crazy people and fans that are just they have no holdback when it comes to the Lions. That may still be a little bit of a challenge. I think the noise level still was a little louder at the Silverdome. And a lot of people want to question that. Then we don't have a way to prove it because you have to be in the Silverdome and you'd have to be back there. So I can say that and get away with it. But no, Ford Field was the loudest it's ever been. I think I was there for a Super Bowl when it was there, and the Super Bowl wasn't even that loud. When I think it was Pittsburgh playing Seattle, this was extremely loud. It was what the environment needs to be, and in fact, to me, it was intimidating. That was an intimidating stadium for the opponent, and even Matthew Stafford, who had played here before, knew that that was a tough place to play. It was a tough place to be a signal caller. It was a tough place defensively to go against our offense, especially once they make a big play. You could feel the energy that radiated through that stadium. And it's a great opportunity for them. Now, I was on the outside listening, so I could hear it.
What do you speaking of the fans, like, what do you think about the ticket prices going up so damn high? I feel like, and this is me, I can be a little bit biased because I'm on one side of it, but I feel like the higher these prices go up, the lower the decibels might be, because I want those obnoxious, rowdy fans, the ones that, have no shame, versus like these snooty fans that can afford these prices, man. Like, what do you make of these prices going all the way up?
At a bump because of the success that a team is having. We know how that works. Demand. The demand drives the price, but I think demand's been there. We've talked about a sold-out stadium for the entire season. So this doesn't make it any different. It's just a different game. So I think the fans who've been there that supported and sold it out early should be the same ones that are given the same courtesy to be there when the team is at its apex, when it's at its zenith, and it's really rolling like it is. Because how often are they going to get an opportunity to be able to come there as season ticket holders, or those that could afford it earlier and be able to still take and enjoy the game as they were? This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So, it's a little disappointing, I'm sure, for people, but in business, that's the way it works, man. The price goes up. The owners and the people that are responsible for the stadium, and also the Lions on the business side, they're going to make sure that they capitalize on that. And then it is going to be for those who can't afford it, whether they've been those deep-rooted fans who could have had the same lower price tickets all year long that chose to wait, and with the wait and see attitude, they have the ability to come in now and be their center stage for the most shining moments. So that's my thought on it. People can agree or disagree with it. It doesn't matter. But I do believe that you want the people that are most loyal to be able to enjoy the most exciting moment in potentially franchise history, as we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, especially when we've been waiting for it so damn long. And I mean, I got to confess, I flipped something for $200 last week from one buddy.
I think they're what, 1,000, 700 to 1,000 now?
Yeah, last week I had one buddy who was selling for 500, and I posted on Facebook for 7. And my buddy hit me up. He's my boy, so I gave him for 6. So I felt bad, but I was like, why not? I mean, they want to pay it, man. I guess
I think the lowest price of a lower bowl ticket is like $1,100. For
wow. Hey, man, if you got any tickets, man, I'll give you $50. I'll give you $2. Maybe I'll go up to $250.
Hey,
Come on, man. Do me a solid, man. Stop playing.
Speaking of business, man, you got some playoff merch. I want you to be able to push it while we got you in the program today. And anything else?
Oh, yeah.
You give away some autographed balls this past weekend, too.
Oh, yeah, man. I've been hooking up with the fans. I got some really cool stuff, man. I told you guys before, I'm big on memorabilia, big on collecting some things. And over the years, man, I've saved a treasure trove of things that I'm going to make sure I share and put out there for the fans to add to their collection. Really unique, one-of-a-kind, or very limited edition items. And then with the swag and all the stuff that we do, that's part of, me making sure I take care of my team, keeping them inspired, being a part of what's happening with this team, but also our sports team. I have some avid sports people as part of my program, part of my organization. And we love being creators, and we love taking these canvases we call clothes, we call blankets, we call, puzzle sets, whatever. And we love putting some love and utility to it. So that's what it's about. They can check it out at hermanmoore84.com if they want to go get the latest swag, get the latest gear. And from there, they'll be redirected to any and all the other stuff I do on multiple sites. So that's it, man. And I got some really cool stuff. And like I said, I want to continue to share some of our giveaways with your audience. They've been cool. You guys have been really cool to work with, man, and loyal with us. And we want to show that same love back. Keep doing what you guys are doing. Want the fans to keep supporting all those content creators and all the people that are doing some really good things around our sports teams.
Appreciate you, Herman.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. It's just an honor to have you on.
It's an honor to have you on the
honestly.
show, man.
Man, this has been great. Absolutely.
It's fun, man. We have to continue in other ways. But I got to ask, speaking of memorabilia, because you collect it, is there any one piece that you're just hanging on for life that is just precious to you?
A lot of people would think it would be, Barry's shoes, man, and I would, but it's got to probably be I got a couple of my Pro Bowl jerseys that I was able to hold on to. You swap some things out with people in order to get their stuff, but I'll never give up those. I put them on consignment. I have a partnership with Soaring Eagle. They have one hanging in their casino as true love of our partnership and our relationship over the last 10 plus years. But outside of that, I got some really cool things that I don't mind sharing with our fans. I want to explore what they got. I'm willing to do trade and swap to fill in some of the other things that I'm trying to collect that are meaningful to myself and my collection. So yeah, man, I'm looking to stay involved and engaged with our fan base beyond sports. Sports, happens at a certain period of time of the year, but we never stop being fans, and I never stop being a player. So I'm loving what I'm doing.
It's so awesome. It's so awesome to hear, and it's so awesome to see you and Darren McCarty, like two legends of Detroit. I just see you guys living your best life, like enjoying what you do all the time.
Thanks.
It's so awesome to watch. And Herman, we appreciate you joining us as always. Before we let you go, can we get a game prediction? How you think this one's gonna go, and who do you think is gonna be the Lions MVP of this game?
You know what? I think the MVP for this game, I'm kind of torn because St. Brown has such a big game, 15 targets, 124 yards, I think 12 catches. I'm like him. Yeah, I know his stats. But he's one of those guys that made a big difference. He was making some special plays, keeping the chains moving. I think he shows out again at home. The Lions they're going to need to run the football. So I'm not surprised if all of a sudden one of the running backs takes off and does something special. But I really would like to see him have his shining moment. He's been very solid. He's been stable and always shooting for my wide out. So I'm looking for him. Can't do it without a quarterback, but I'm going to shoot for St. Brown. And from a score prediction, I'm telling you, man, I think 13, the Bucks. I think 30-32 for the Lions. And I wanted to go with a nice little weird number. Like I was going to go with like 33, 34. But I said, okay, let's shoot for like 30-32. Somewhere in that range. But I look at them winning by 2 touchdowns.
I love it. I've been saying that all week, and people have been telling me, "Oh, don't overlook the Bucks. Don't get too confident." We already whooped them in their house, missing 5 of our best players. Like, come on, you got to be a little confident. We're a good team.
Yeah, that run that they're having, I think will catch up to them on the Bucs side. Playing on the road is tough in the playoffs, and they're continuously having strings of wins to get all the way to the end. I don't see it. I favor the teams that play at home, that don't have to travel and have the momentum of the crowd. They just have all the boxes they can check that sometimes there are intangibles that make a difference. So, and I think the Lions, that's what they have. And they're higher ranked in pretty much all categories. So I just see this as them being the favorite, a solid favorite. And this is an opportunity for them to move on to the division championship game.
It's awesome. Herman, we appreciate you.
It's an honor, man. Thank you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course. Dude, legend. It's so awesome. And like I said, man, him and D-Mac, they're both so happy all the time. They love what they do. Like that's the goal in life, is to just
absolutely
be happy, love what you're doing, and just do.
Well, the cool thing, because we're going on the Tampa Bay podcast later, and I'm not going to talk to trash, but it's like Tampa legends like Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson, Herman Moore, Darren McCarty have come here as players outside of Detroit.
Yeah.
But then stay. It's got to mean something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Got to mean something.
I'm glad Herman's rolling with me at the big victory. I feel it in my bones. I got my score prediction already set for tomorrow.